Sanders is going to run, and he will not get to the first down. And Sanders to throw. Flushed out of the pocket, looking.
Trash talking, that's one of my favorite things to do. Even if I'm not even on the field, bitch, I'm going to talk shit to everybody.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, I know you was out there talking shit.
Yeah. You
had any trash talking like, hey, this motherfucker can talk that shit.
I mean, a lot of motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, they'll talk trash back, but only one that I was like, oh, all right, I get it.
Work hard, man. Always be in the building. Always be in front of your coaches, asking them questions. You know, don't be one of those guys that, you know, you want to be the, you know, last one in the building, the first one out the building. You know, be there first, you know, get that work in, stay late, you know.
What if I told you the NFL might be running trick plays off the field instead of fixing its own mess? That's right, word is the league's been busy throwing shade at Shedeur Sanders instead of handling their ongoing circus. And Phil Taylor? He just dropped the hammer. Forget a simple critique. This was a full-blown demolition job. The question is, did the NFL really try to sabotage Shedeur, or are they just flat-out allergic to common sense? Either way, buckle up, this chaos is wild.
The league decided it didn't like how Shedeur interviewed. He said some things he should not have said, and he will tell you that to this day. I got a little carried away. But he's as tough a kid, tough a quarterback as I've ever seen. His arm is at least as good as Brady's. It's Brady-esque.
You guys act like a fifth-round pick is a punishment.
Okay.
It's not. It's an opportunity. I've never seen anybody talk this much about a fifth-round pick, ever.
Because he's not a real fifth-round pick. That show you right there. I wish we could have the owners here and, you know what I'm saying, get them real liquored up. I might spill the beans. But I'm telling you.
You're telling me you
something
think
going on. Collusion.
You think these owners get together and sit there with a pipe and say, hey, we're not going to draft Shedeur Sanders?
Nah, they send a blacklist.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel. It helps more than you think. Just when it feels like the smoke is finally clearing, another analyst shows up and dumps a fresh tank of gasoline on the NFL's raging fire of nonsense. Let's be real, the way the league's been treating Shedeur Sanders doesn't just look sketchy, it looks downright calculated. It's almost as if someone in the front office decided, hey, let's invent a brand new level of petty. And here's the kicker, when analysts, people who normally twist themselves into knots defending the shield, start side-eyeing every move, you know the script has flipped. At this point, the NFL doesn't look like it's managing a league, it looks like it's producing a reality show called How to Sabotage a Star 101.
He played with the threes. Anyone with half a brain could see 4 of the 5 guys got waived yesterday. He was running for his life. I mean, if I'm that kid's father, uncle, brother, I'm going, you know what? Let us go somewhere we can try and play.
Please.
We can be developed. There never was a 4-man competition. Never. Shedeur was never in the competition. And if that's how the Browns see it, rightfully so. Why'd you draft him? Why'd you draft him?
Shedeur Sanders didn't just stumble into the league. He didn't sneak in through a back door or win a lucky raffle to hear his name called. He arrived as the guy, the headline, the playmaker, the highlight reel fans couldn't stop buzzing about. And yet, the NFL has treated him like he's just another number lost on a bloated roster sheet. It's laughable, really, like watching someone inherit a Ferrari and then choose to leave it collecting dust while they wobble around on a rusty tricycle instead.
Tonight, Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools. In some cases, racist fools. In many cases, Deion-despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th.
That's the NFL's playbook right now. Overlook the rising star, hype up mediocrity, and then scratch their heads when ratings sink faster than a flat football. The analyst's frustration makes sense. Shedeur was supposed to be showcased as the future, but instead, the league shoved him into the background like the kid who showed up with the wrong chips to the party. It's not that they're holding him back quietly, they're barely even acknowledging him. The message is loud, they don't want Shedeur shining as the star he already is.
How realistic is it to say they give actual consideration to starting Shedeur?
I think it is unrealistic. If you look at the Browns' schedule, it's home against Joe Burrow, on the road against Lamar Jackson, home against Jordan Love, on the road against Jared Goff, then home game in London against the Vikings, then no bye, and you come home on the road against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. That's a gauntlet. There's no way you're playing a rookie quarterback right out of the gate. It's just not going to happen.
Dylan Gabriel also, he returned to practice yesterday. Comparing can be difficult because everybody's out there. Some are against the 2s, some against the 3s.
Sure.
But Dylan Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders, what did you see?
It's a hard comparison to make because of what you just laid out.
Instead, it feels like the NFL would rather stick their fingers in their ears, hum loudly, and pretend this generational talent doesn't exist, all while hyping up quarterbacks who can barely throw a spiral without looking like they're launching a beach ball at a backyard barbecue. And you can almost hear the sarcasm dripping when analysts point this out. It's not rocket science, it's right there in plain sight. The league isn't just slow to embrace Shedeur, they're actively allergic to his success. They want the narrative to follow the same tired script, hype the predictable faces, recycle the same headlines, rinse, repeat. But Shedeur doesn't fit into that boring formula. He's too electric, too disruptive, too much of a reminder that maybe the NFL's gatekeepers aren't as good at spotting stars as they'd like everyone to believe. This analyst wasn't mincing words about it either, painting the picture like the league is running a black ops mission designed specifically to derail Shedeur's momentum. The opportunities he should be getting? Magically vanish. The credit he should be showered with? Redirected to players who couldn't shine his cleats. The acknowledgement he deserves? Buried under an avalanche of excuses, technicalities, and carefully scripted press releases. It's as if the NFL is trying to convince itself that Shedeur isn't happening, that fans didn't see what they saw, that his rise was just a TikTok trend that'll fade when the algorithm changes. Spoiler alert, that's not how reality works.
Now, if that 2-minute drive, if he would have led that team down to a score, that would have wrote all the wrongs that he had in the previous possessions, because now you know in a 2-minute situation, Shedeur Sanders can lead a franchise down the field and put points on the board. But RG3, man, he summed it up, man. Kudos to RG3 for coming out speaking up for Shedeur Sanders in this whole situation.
The funny part is, by trying so hard to dim Shedeur's light, the league only makes it brighter. Every time they downplay his impact, analysts line up to roast the absurdity of it all. Fans notice the disconnect instantly. It's like the NFL is standing in front of a mural, insisting it's a blank wall. The rest of the world is staring at the masterpiece, while the league is fumbling with blindfolds, muttering about process and protocol. It would be tragic if it weren't so hysterically tone-deaf. This analyst nailed it with one central point: you can't stop talent by pretending it doesn't exist. You can try to rig the narrative, you can try to cut minutes, you can even throw in a few subtle roadblocks, but eventually, the talent breaks through. Shedeur isn't a fad, he's not a one-season wonder, and he's definitely not going to fade quietly into the background so the league can keep parading its cookie-cutter poster boys. He's the type of player who makes stadiums vibrate, who gets people off couches, who turns highlight reels into binge-worthy content. And yet, somehow, the NFL acts like they'd rather sweep him under the rug than put him on the marquee. It's almost like the league is scared of him. Scared of what he represents, scared of how much attention he commands, scared that he might just shatter the pecking order they've built so carefully over the years. Because when a player like Shedeur shows up, he doesn't just play the game, he rewrites it.
The Shedeur Sanders situation is interesting. We saw what happened the other night in the last preseason game. Dylan Gabriel played much better than Shedeur Sanders. All his whole offensive line basically got cut and everything. But that's what NFL football is. What did you see in Colorado? You saw him running for his life at Colorado a lot. Yes, just like he did the other day. When you gave him time in that Carolina game, he looked pretty good. This is his kid's second real NFL game.
And the NFL? They'd prefer their little scripts remain untouched, even if it means burying the most exciting storyline in football. The irony is delicious, though. By refusing to crown Shedeur as the star he already is, the NFL looks less like a powerful institution and more like that jealous neighbor who watches you pull up in a brand new car and loudly insists it's leased. Nobody's buying it. The analysts see it. The fans see it. Even the casuals who barely follow football see it. But the league? Nope. They're still clinging to their outdated playbook, hoping no one notices the glaring hole where Shedur's spotlight should be. So when this analyst blew the whistle on how shady this treatment looks, it wasn't just about Shedeur, it was about exposing how out of touch the league has become. It's about the disconnect between the product they want to sell and the reality fans are living in. Because you can't keep pretending that Shedeur isn't a star when every touchdown he scores makes social media implode. You can't keep ignoring him when every time he steps on the field, fans are buzzing like they're watching the second coming of football royalty. That's why the frustration is building. Analysts aren't just venting for the sake of drama, they're pointing out that the NFL has a golden goose and is somehow trying to fry it instead of protect it. And if the league keeps this up, they're not just sabotaging Shedeur, they're sabotaging themselves.
Okay, I'm not questioning that. You're right, it's still the Browns.
I don't want to rush Shedeur out there to go get killed because they are in the AFC North. That's a brutal division.
Exactly, it is. You got well, like I said, you got Cincinnati, you got
Pittsburgh,
and you got Baltimore.
It's pretty bad.
But he's number 3 as of right now, QB3, which he has the opportunity to get QB1 because barring that, let's say the season doesn't do well, one of them two going to be...
Because eventually, the fans stop buying the excuses. They stop swallowing the spin. They start demanding answers for why the most electrifying player on the field is treated like a side character in his own story. At this point, Shedeur doesn't even need the NFL's stamp of approval. His game speaks louder than their silence. Every analyst who calls it out just adds another layer of pressure, another reminder that no matter how much the league tries to dim the lights, they can't control who shines brightest. And Shedeur? He's shining so hard it's practically blinding. Because here's the part that's driving everyone crazy, Shedeur is that guy, and somehow the NFL is still acting like they need a DNA test to confirm it. It's not complicated, it's not mysterious, it's not hidden in some obscure stat sheet. It's right there on the field, in high definition, every single week. He's the quarterback who makes defenses question their life choices, who has linemen daydreaming about early retirement, and yet the league behaves like he's just a nice little prospect. That's not oversight, that's willful blindness. Phil Taylor? Oh, he's having none of it. Watching him go off about this mess is like watching someone who's been holding in frustration for too long finally let it rip. He sees what everyone else with 2 functioning eyes sees. Shedeur isn't just good, he's franchise shifting. He's not another quarterback in the system, he is the system. And if you can't recognize that, then you probably shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a football conversation in the first place.
Shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in the 5th round. I'm convinced only because the owner, the publicity-starved owner, just wanted some more shock value publicity. Oh, we took him because he knew what would happen, that the national media would descend on Browns camp, make it a story that might distract the rest of the world from the mess that Jimmy Haslam has made of the Cleveland Browns, especially after he gave $230 million to Deshaun Watson.
And it's not just Taylor. You've got Stephen A. Smith banging the table like the NFL personally offended him at brunch. You've got Dan Orlov's guy, who spent his career running out of the back of the end zone, suddenly standing tall as if to say, look, if even I can see Shedeur's greatness, then what's the league's excuse? When analysts who rarely agree on anything start uniting like Avengers to defend one player, you know the league has really outdone itself in the art of ridiculousness. The beauty of it is that the fans are just as loud, maybe louder. They don't need charts, breakdowns, or fancy jargon to explain it. They watch Shedeur play and know instantly, this is the guy. The one you build around. The one you market. The one you don't treat like an afterthought. The NFL is out here trying to shove him into the background while fans are practically rioting to push him to the front of the line. And the thing is, he's not just another flashy highlight reel. He's composed, he's calculated, he's got that icy calm that makes defenders panic before the snap. That's why analysts like Taylor are losing their minds. Because they know talent when they see it. They've watched enough quarterbacks flame out, fizzle, and collapse under pressure to recognize the rare few who thrive in chaos. Shedeur thrives. He makes it look too easy. And yet, the league's official response is basically a shrug and a weak attempt at pretending they've got more important stars to focus on. Sure, and I guess water isn't wet either.
But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that.
Taylor in particular is fiery about it because he knows what it means when a league fails to properly back its generational players. It's not just about Shedeur, it's about the message it sends to every other young star. Work your whole life to get here, dominate when you arrive, and still get treated like an optional extra. That's the NFL sales pitch right now. And analysts like Stephen A. aren't about to sit quietly and let that slide. They've built careers on calling out foolishness, and this situation is foolishness on steroids. The irony is, by downplaying Shedeur, the NFL is making him even bigger. The contrast is too obvious. Fans see the brilliance on the field, then hear the league's lukewarm recognition, and it only makes them double down on their support. It's reverse marketing, every snub just fuels the hype. Every dismissal just adds to the legend. Every time the league ignores a highlight, social media ensures it trends twice as hard. At this point, Shedeur's highlight reels are practically a rebellion against the NFL's selective blindness. Dan Orlovsky might be the funniest part of this equation. Here's a guy who once became a meme for literally running out of bounds behind his own end zone, now breaking down film to explain why Shedeur is light years ahead of where most rookies should be.
But clearly, the Browns, it's much different to be a starting quarterback at a big-time D1 school and to be the face of a franchise that is worth $1 billion. And the Browns want to make sure that when Shedeur Sanders starts, that he is responsible enough and he is mature enough to not go through knucklehead headlines like we've seen. Since he got drafted, we had the speeding situations, 2 of them. We had him yelling at a player in the middle of his first debut, right, because he had to scramble and got sacked. We had him get into it with a reporter right after the game is over because he didn't say anything nice about him.
If the NFL won't listen to the fans, won't listen to Phil Taylor, won't listen to Stephen A., maybe they should at least listen to the guy who turned himself into a cautionary tale. When even Orlovsky can see what's happening, it's time to admit the obvious. Anything special. All they had to do was recognize what was right in front of them. But instead, they've doubled down on pretending that this firestorm of talent is just another flicker. They want to act like Shedeur's rise is temporary, like he's a storyline to keep in the background while they push their preferred names to the front. Meanwhile, the actual football being played keeps slapping that narrative into the dirt week after week. And the fact that the NFL still can't, or won't, see that makes their entire operation look like it's being run by people who'd lose a game of checkers to a toddler. Phil Taylor is just the loudest in the growing chorus, but he's not alone. Stephen A. is fed up. Orlovsky is fed up. Fans are fed up.
For critiquing Shedeur Sanders off of one game against the Los Angeles Rams in the preseason where he looked bad. And a lot of people are evaluating him off of that game, saying he's not NFL ready, off of one preseason game, and you just throw away the first preseason game that Shedeur Sanders performed against the Carolina Panthers. But Shedeur Sanders playing with Colorado, it was much hype on him because, like Deion Sanders said at the press conference, we bringing in our Louis, and Shedeur Sanders was named quarterback for Colorado Buffalo. So in this sense, that's really, let's dive off into it because This is what happened when Shedeur Sanders played his first game against TCU. Now, y'all know TCU.
The whole ecosystem around football is practically screaming in unison that Shedeur Sanders is the future, the present, and everything in between. Yet the league continues to play coy, like they're afraid acknowledging him will somehow ruin their carefully choreographed show. Too late, the show's already been hijacked, and the star isn't the one they picked. Shedeur doesn't need their approval. He's already bigger than their silence, already louder than their downplaying, already more magnetic than their attempts to bury him. And if the NFL doesn't figure that out soon, they're not just going to look blind, they're going to look like the only people in the entire football universe who didn't get the memo. Shedeur is that guy. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. Everybody says it. Everybody, except, apparently, the NFL.